shrinking the CDC's role.
CDC has always taken the lead, and to shunt them aside in the biggest crisis in more than 100 years, it's very dangerous.
But the White House says it's asking for revisions to the guidelines, calling them overly specific, saying guidance in rural Tennessee should not be the same guidance for urban New York City. Also, in a surprise twist, the Justice Department moved to drop its case against Michael Flynn, who served briefly as President Trump's first national security advisor and later pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about Flynn's contacts with Russia's ambassador to the U.S. The president fired Flynn for misleading the vice president about his conversations with that ambassador, and the case was one of special counsel Robert Mueller's first prosecutions. After a review of the Flynn case ordered by Attorney General William Barr, the Justice Department is now asking a federal judge to throw the conviction out, concluding that Flynn never should have been charged in the first place. Just days ago, prosecutors turned over documents to Flynn that his lawyers say show the FBI tried to set Flynn up in its interview. In a court filing, the government says Flynn's statements were not material or central to any investigation that the FBI was conducting. The president had been considering a pardon for Flynn and welcomed the news.
He was an innocent man. He is a great gentleman. He was targeted by the Obama administration, and he was targeted in order to try and take down a president.
But late Thursday, two top former FBI officials blasted the decision. Former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe saying it is pure politics designed to please the president. And from the former FBI
answers.
Former police officer Gregory McMichael told investigators there had been several break-ins in the neighborhood, and a man he viewed as the suspect was running down the street. McMichael said he and his son Travis grabbed their guns and went after him. McMichael claims Arbery began to violently attack his son Travis, and that the 25-year-old was killed during a fight over his son's weapon.
It really breaks my heart. He didn't know that he was in the last minutes of his life.
Arbery's mother insists her son was unarmed and was just jogging.
He was into fitness, and that's just something that he did.
The story ignited protests and demands for justice.
Everyone who conspired to hunt and kill Ahmaud Arbery can go to jail for life because this is one of the most heinous crimes that I think we've seen in this generation.
Authorities say the case is still an active investigation. Dan Scheneman, NBC News.
A new twist in the traffic jam heard around the world. The Supreme Court is throwing out the convictions of two New Jersey officials at the center of the Bridgegate scandal. Back in 2014, Bridget Ann Kelly and Bill Baroni were convicted of scheming to close lanes on the George Washington Bridge as political payback for a local mayor. The justices unanimously agreed that while it was a corrupt act, it wasn't a federal crime. Baroni worked at the agency that runs the bridge, and Kelly was then Governor Chris Christie's aide, who sent the infamous text, "Time for some traffic problems in Fort Lee."
Sports-hungry fans have something to look forward to. Thursday night, the NFL released their 2020 season schedule. Commissioner Roger Goodell said the league is prepared to make adjustments if necessary. But as of right now, Week 1 starts right here on NBC. September 10th, the Houston Texans take on the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. For breakdown and analysis and to check out the full slate of NFL on NBC games, head to ProFootballTalk.com.
Getting some more things to look forward to right there. We've got some wicked weather heading into a busy Mother's Day weekend. NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns is tracking it all. Good morning to you, Bill.
Oh, good morning. Yeah, nothing like March and going into the second week of May. So let's get into it. These are the people that need to cover up all. If you planted your garden or you have sensitive plants outside, 84 million people under freeze watches or freeze warnings. It's all of the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and a portion there of the Appalachians. And the worst of it will be Saturday morning. When you wake up and go outside, it'll feel like 22 degrees as far south as North Carolina and also through Tennessee. The freeze line will be somewhere north of Nashville through Asheville. It looks like the big cities on I-95 will be okay, but interior suburbs, make sure you cover everything up. And then by the time we get to Saturday afternoon, it's still blustery and cold, but at least it's back in the 40s. And then Sunday morning will be the end of this cold snap. And we are going to get some snow out of this. It's mostly going to be a high elevation thing, the Catskills, the White and the Green Mountains of northern New England. But the fact that we're getting snow later tonight is ridiculous for this time of year, even in the Northeast. That's the big weather story of the day. Now here's a closer look at your forecast. Well, as we go through the day, we are watching some thunderstorms this morning, especially moving from Oklahoma to North Texas, and then that cold, chilly rain. Look at those temperatures, only highs in the 40s today. Areas like Pittsburgh may even see some wet snowflakes later on today. We'll give you the complete weekend forecast and look at Mother's Day coming up.
Well, can't believe those temperatures. All right, Bill, thank you. Leading the news, the Dallas salon owner who was sentenced to 7 days behind bars after defying Texas's coronavirus shutdown orders is now a free woman. Shelley Luther was sentenced on Tuesday but was freed on Thursday after Texas Governor Greg Abbott intervened. Abbott amended his executive order on coronavirus restrictions and eliminated jail time for violating the order dating back to April 2nd. While at a press conference, Luther thanked her supporters, saying in part, "You mean so much to me. This would have been nothing without you."
Now to growing concerns across the country about food supply shortages as several meat plants linked to hundreds of coronavirus cases begin reopening. This is a new survey says mothers believe children are not getting enough to eat. Here's NBC's Gabe Gutierrez.
In Waterloo, Iowa, Tyson Foods partially reopened its largest pork plant in the country with new social distancing measures, mandatory face masks, and temperature checks.
Our essential workforce and infrastructure is critical to keeping the food supply chain open and moving.
Other meat processing facilities are also cautiously reopening. Just this week, plants in Nebraska, Minnesota, and South Dakota.
Within a week and a half, we should be in great shape, maybe sooner.
But in Colorado, Tin A is gravely ill in the hospital. Her daughter believes she contracted coronavirus by working at a meat plant.
We are poor, so we need money, and then we have no choice. My mom say, we don't have a choice. If they told us to work, then we have to work. We have a lot of bills to pay. And my mom, she's a hard worker.
Pain across the food supply. Long lines at food banks from Texas to Illinois to Pennsylvania. A new survey finds 17% of mothers with young children say their kids are not getting enough to eat. That's 3 times what we saw in 2008 at the height of the recession. Today in New York's Long Island, hundreds of families showed up for free meals outside this elementary school.
We've never seen anything like this.
Hotel worker Maria Ramirez was recently furloughed. How long have you been waiting here in line?
Around 3 hours.
This woman drove up with her 7-year-old daughter.
It's a lot. I'm a single parent. I have a mortgage. I have a car note. So you kind of think, like, what's priority right now? Do I pay my mortgage or do I go grocery shopping?
New York State has now set aside at least $25 million for food banks to make sure families like these don't go hungry. Back to
after
you.
Government initially lifted the ban after 5 weeks, then backtracked a few days later.
People might think I support prohibition. I've been called a prohibitionist on Twitter, but I'm not. I consume alcohol, and I don't like people telling me what to do. But many people are living in very crowded, difficult circumstances.
Sweet hug there. 99-year-old World War II vet Max DeWeese got a standing ovation while leaving Kansas City Hospital after recovering from coronavirus. He was admitted to the hospital in mid-April and he received a couple of medals and a plaque after beating the virus.
When you're limiting people's
Another European country is gearing up to loosen its COVID-19 restrictions. Next week, France will join Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands as it begins a progressive exit from lockdown, with shops and some schools allowed to reopen. The bright spot during the pandemic comes as Europe celebrates the 75th anniversary of the ending of World War II. For more, we turn to NBC's Cal Perry live in London. Cal, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, Francis. So the lockdown began on March the 17th in France, and on Monday we're going to start to see some restrictions lifted. Now, the Prime Minister laying out a map of the country, putting it into two zones, a green zone and a red zone. The red zone really Paris and the 4 adjacent areas there where we're still seeing infections. Now, overall in the country, we've had a drop in infections for the past 4 days, a drop in ICU patients for the past 6. What does this mean for folks in France? Well, schools across the country, primary schools, will be reopening. Shops and restaurants in those red zones will stay closed, as well as parks and gardens. But in those green zones, we will start to see things relaxed. Masks will need to be worn by everybody in the country. That will be monitored by the government. Anybody taking public transportation in and around Paris, they want that at 50%, and everybody needs to have a letter from their employer. The economy in France has been devastated, as you would expect, and as we've seen around the world. 6% at least cut in the economy since this virus outbreak began. 16% diminish in industrialized work. Now, all of this happening on VE Day. Today in the UK, we'll hear from the Queen. We will hear perhaps from the Prime Minister. What normally would be street parties will now be garden parties. The government asking people to decorate their houses in the flag, in the old Union Jack, guys. So we'll be doing that here this year indoors. Lindsay, all Francis.
Right. Cal Perry for us. Cal, thank you. The supermoon surely lived up to its name, dominating the night sky across the globe. Here it is, rising over Istanbul. Look how beautiful that is. It is the last supermoon of 2020, meaning if you missed your opportunity to check out the celestial giant, you'll have to wait until next March to see another. And great to be able to show it to you and share it with you if you can't look out your window and we're not in Istanbul to enjoy it like that. It's great to see.
Stunning images. All right, let's head on over to Bill with the forecast for the Mother's Day weekend. Hey, Bill.
Hey, good morning once again. All right, so let's get into it. So we have our storm today with all the rain and then a little bit of snow later on tonight to areas to the north. And then we're going to take this storm through New England later on tonight and into tomorrow. By the time we get to your Sunday morning, it's totally gone. Saturday morning. And then for Mother's Day itself, the East Coast actually looks pretty good. Just a little bit of rain in the Great Lakes. We'll be right back with more news.
We're getting ready. Sunday is Mother's Day, and we want to share some photos and thank the special women who've raised and nurtured our team members here at Early Today. And for all of you moms and mother figures out there, we want to wish you a very happy and safe Mother's Day weekend.
That goes to you too, Francis.
Thank you.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt will play the role of husband and wife in a new upcoming superhero movie. Ball and Chain will be an adaptation of a 90s comic about a couple struggling in their marriage who develop superpowers. Here's the twist: the powers only work when they're together. Johnson will serve as a producer for the film under his production company, and Blunt will also be credited as a producer.
I like the premise of that. Only when they're together.
They gotta get along.
Something that maybe we can all take a little hint from these days in being together. A new announcement may make you wish it was Christmas. Lifetime just announced that 8-time Emmy Award winner Betty White will be in a new Christmas movie. The role for the 98-year-old to whip would-be Santas into shape and spread the true meaning of Christmas, guaranteeing a very Merry Christmas, and that kind of joy can't come soon enough. Anything that Betty White touches and the joy she can bring, we'll take.
I know, and hopefully by Christmas we'll all be feeling a little bit more togetherness, and that's something bright to look forward to. A pair of Las Vegas police officers noticed something odd in the road, and when they got a little closer, they realized it was a small cat with its head stuck in a soup can, just trying to get a snack. Body camera footage of the rescue shows an officer holding the cat while the other tries twisting the can loose. After some tugging there, you see that cat was freed, and it seemed to be doing fine as it scurried on away.
Hope he was able to get something in that can and make it worth it.
Exactly. Sports legends Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady, they're all promoting their coronavirus golf tournament when their trash talking began with Ernie Johnson.
And then this is the trophy for the match. I don't know, actually, Tiger, if you know what this looks like. You might have caught a glimpse, but that's actually what the trophy looks like had you have won.
Understood. Hold on one second. I just got an ice bath. I'm a little bit chilly. Green jacket on here. I feel better.
Just rubbing salt in the wound right there. But as far as Rate My Room goes, Tom Brady had the best lighting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Maybe Giselle had something to do with that too, but great to see that, having a little bit of fun. And all of those just sports idols all together like that. Yep. So fascinating to see.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for Early Today. I'm Lizzie Reiser.
And I'm Frances Rivera. Coming up on Today, Savannah Guthrie's exclusive interview with Melinda Gates on the national response to the coronavirus pandemic. Have a great Friday and a terrific Mother's Day weekend. Keep it right here. More news is straight ahead.
You're watching NBC News Now. We've got some breaking news.
Expect to see more cases across the United States.
It's news made for your streaming world.